For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. On infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections.
If I were the devil, I'd take from those who have and give to those who wanted until I had killed the incentive of the ambitious.
Violence and vandalism is being led by Antifa and other radical left-wing groups who are terrorizing the innocent, destroying jobs, hurting businesses, and burning down buildings. They are coming after me because I am fighting for you. That's what's happening.
Greetings, fellow thought criminals, and thank you for joining the Insurrection. I'm Michael Lauber. This is Derrick Evans. It's Thursday, and we've got a lot to celebrate.
Yes, we do, man. It's been a wild day yesterday. I don't know about everybody else. I'm actually kind of on a little bit of a MAGA hangover from yesterday. It's feeling great, feeling good. But as we all know, the best way to cure a hangover is just the hair of the dog, get back into it again. So we're going to go MAGA again today and just keep it going. But thank you guys for watching. As always, like, share, subscribe, drop your comments in the chat. We'll give you guys a shout out kind of like this. Kelly Song and Dan Dreyer already in the Rumble chat, and Bilbo Bot as well. Appreciate you guys for hanging in.
Yeah, and I think he summed it up pretty well, because right after we got off air yesterday, when I started reading more of what was in this idiotic spending bill, like, I was absolutely furious that we couldn't cover this stuff on air. When I saw they wanted to block any investigations into any House members, where they shuffled money around, things they were going to fund, and just some of the other just absolute garbage that was included in this, I was furious, because I figure, well, these rhinos are going to slip this in at the last minute and sabotage the Trump administration. They're going to be tied up with legal battles trying to do their job and fulfill some of the promises that were made during the election cycle here and afterwards. But luckily, we came out on top.
Absolutely. And, we're going to be covering that here in a little bit on the show. But before we do, I do want to kind of comment on this just a little bit. As, I think it's really interesting to show the power of X, and the power of our unified message and our unified voice on X specifically, to kind of get out in front of this and put pressure on these elected officials, remind them that they work for us and that they were forced to listen to us. I promise you, it's really fascinating when you think about it. Every lobbyist in D.C. was pushing for this bill to pass. That's why it's 1,500 pages long. Every lobbyist had a little bit of something in there. It's good for them and their people and their kickback and their money. And Elon Musk, and X, and all the people in the MAGA movement, Truth Social as well out there, letting Trump know that they were against it as well. All of these people were more powerful than every lobbyist in D.C. That really says something when you really think about it. The other thing I want to say is there's a lot of despicable things that these establishment people, specifically the rhinos, have done throughout this process over the last day or so. I think the most despicable thing that they've done, though, for me personally, is that they tied the relief, the disaster funds, to the people still suffering from the hurricane in North Carolina and Eastern Tennessee and those parts. They tied that to this bill and specifically tied it to their pay raise. So they literally had said, we've done nothing for you since the hurricane happened. We've sent billions of dollars to Ukraine and everywhere else. Now we're willing to help you and give you the help that you need down here for the hurricane relief. But in order to do so, you have to support us giving ourselves a raise in the process. A $70,000 a year raise is what was in there.
40%.
To put that in context, and I'll land it here, is that the average American citizen makes around $63,000 to $64,000 a year. That's the average salary. Their pay increase alone was 70. So they're trying to give themselves a pay raise of more than the average income in the U.S. For U.S. citizens. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, well, you know what? I think they're running scared now. They see the people are still engaged, still unified. And I want to say thank you to everybody in our audience and everybody else that called Congress yesterday, melted down the switchboard, sent all the emails and everything else. I tried calling my congressman probably 20 times yesterday. I ended up just leaving a message and saying, we expect you a no vote from you on this, and if not, we'll be primarying you. That I will dedicate my life for the next 2 years to making sure you do not remain in office. And I have a relatively decent congressman, Warren Davidson. But I ended up leaving him a message because, I'm sure their phones were just lit up. I called his local office here in Troy. I called him in DC, and both ones I'm just getting voicemail all the time. So thank you to everybody. Before we get into most of the stories that we have to focus on today, I want to start off with something fun. Tom Homan interviewed on CNN last night, and it was just about perfect.
So how many days after Trump is sworn in before this effort to carry out the mass deportations begins? I know you said it starts on day one, but after how many days will we actually start to see that happening?
Day one. Day one will be ICE officers across the country will be out on the streets. Right out of the gate, President has made it clear, and I've made it clear, the priority right out of the gate is public safety threats and national security threats. And there's plenty of them to find. Right? I looked at the data under the Biden administration. The deportation of criminal aliens have decreased 74%. So we have all those folks that the Biden administration failed to deport, plus you got this over 10 million encounters on the southern border that came across. We got a lot of them to look for too. So the public safety threats are plenty, and it's going to keep us busy.
Boom.
That's awesome. I love just how matter of fact he is. Like, he is a true, patriot. I think it was Tucker. Somebody recently asked him, why did you worked in the government for 40 years, you retired, you're able to do whatever you want. Why come back? And he's like, because I love our country and I'm passionate about securing our border. And the President Trump gave me the green light. He said I wouldn't have taken the job if I was going to be handcuffed. He told me to go clean this place up, and that's what he wants to do. And I love it because he's been offered other positions. It's like, no. Like, I don't want to do anything else. This is all I want to do. It's awesome. I think I'm more pumped about him than anybody in the administration right now.
It's a close race between him and Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy, and Doge, and getting Kash Patel at the FBI. Like, knowing that we're actually going to see some justice, things are going to get exposed. That's what makes me so enthusiastic about everything we're going to see after January 20th. Homan didn't stop there. Katie Hobbs, cartel, property of the cartel, and governor of Arizona. She's out running her mouth yesterday, and he basically said, "Hey, you know what? We'll get a prison cell ready for you." She's trying to say that she doesn't want ICE to operate within her borders. They're a sanctuary state, blah, blah, blah. Well, sorry, but Homan's serious, and Hobbs will be going to jail if that's what ends up happening. Let's go ahead and jump into it. We got one other breaking story here. More good news. We just can't stop winning. This is from Benny Johnson. Breaking: the Georgia Court of Appeals has ruled that Fulton County DA Fani Willis is disqualified from the election interference case against President Trump. And how much you want to bet once she's off, they just drop the case, that they don't hand it off to another prosecutor. It's already been an absolute disaster. And you know what? She still needs investigated for coordinating with the Biden DOJ.
Honestly, I think all of these people at this point need to be investigated for at least conspiracy to commit election interference. It's pretty obvious at this point. I mean, it was obvious to a lot of us from the get-go, but I believe now, with the way that they're acting and dropping all these things after the election, it is almost proof, if you will, that that's exactly what this was all about. When we knew that, Trump has said it. I think all of us knew, but I don't think a lot of the normies really even understood that. But I think they're starting to realize that now. And I believe that they need to be charged for it. I think they need to be held accountable and criminally prosecuted for their actions. I want to give some quick shout outs over here in the Twitter chats. We got Thaddeus, Tim, Project 87, Mary, Second Amendment, Put America First. We really appreciate you. Fed Up. Appreciate all of you guys for being in here. If I'm John, if I missed anybody, or Jonah, we'll get you next time. But I appreciate you guys. I read all the comments in the chats, guys, on all the things that we're streaming on. So keep them coming. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, and great screen names, guys. Keep those up. Yeah, Juan Merchan is saying that they're going to move forward with the conviction, and Alvin Bragg, they're going to continue the other case with Letitia James on the properties, but those are both going to get thrown out on appeals. No sane person believes Mar-a-Lago is only worth $18 million, so that's getting tossed the minute it moves up. And same with this criminal conviction. Not only do they have the Supreme Court ruling saying some of the evidence used in the case is no good, and therefore it should be thrown out, at the very least a new trial. But it's very clear these charges are fictitious too. That this is, it's on a foundation of sand. There was no underlying conviction for them to go after these other charges and pursue them as if they were felonies. At very, very worst, they could have been misdemeanors, but even then, they're beyond the statute of limitations. It's just absolutely ridiculous. So the remaining cases are all getting tossed. They're basically just digging their own grave right now and making themselves look like fools and begging to be investigated by the Department of Justice for political targeting.
Well, and that's exactly what it is. And I mean, they can't argue that they didn't at least conspire and collude on this. I mean, there was definitely some coordination behind the scenes to launch all these investigations the way that they have. There's no way there's no connection there. So that's collusion, number one, to amongst all of them to bring this lawfare to President Trump. And then, as we've all learned, I didn't know all this, but as a lot of us learned recently through January 6th and a lot of these other things, if 3 or more people are having a conversation about a crime, that's now conspiracy, which usually comes with more time in prison than the actual crime itself that for committing. That's how they got some of these J6ers who didn't even go to the Capitol on January 6th. They were happened to be in a group chat talking about January 6th leading up to it, and they got thrown in prison for conspiracy to commit insurrection or whatever it was. So that's what these people have done. They've at the very least, they have conspired to bring this lawfare against President Trump. And I'm sorry, but the time for patty cake politics is over with. The time for trying to be friendly and nice to these people, we tried that during the first term of President Trump. Look where that got us. These people not only tried to destroy President Trump's life, they've openly tried to destroy our country at every turn possible. And then they openly, that's the same group of people somewhere at the top, they openly attempted to assassinate President Trump multiple times that we know of. And there needs to be some criminal investigations into all this lawfare that they brought against President Trump and the American people.
Well, yeah, and I don't think it just ends with President Trump. I think we need to investigate a lot of these people that coordinated the prosecution of J6 defendants and go after them for malicious prosecution. This can't be allowed to stand. A lot of these people need to suffer repercussions for the injustice that they've caused, and now is the time to do that, or it'll never be done. We need to scrape these people out of the DOJ and then set up rules to ensure this doesn't happen again. Either way, politically, we cannot have any more of this targeting. It just tears the country apart, and it tears our system, our constitution. It spits on our constitution. We can't allow this to continue. Let's get into the news of the day, though. Vox Populi, Vox Day. Elon Musk cheers victory as Speaker Johnson's spending bill stalls after Trump and Musk threaten to primary anyone who will vote. And again, a lot of credit goes to Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy. I really think Vivek started this off with that video he put out regarding reading the bill and just disclosing all the trash that was in there, from the giant pay raises to more money for Ukraine to just all this nonsense. Continue to fund a weaponized Justice Department. So it's good that this was defeated, and I think if it weren't for us that were willing to stand and speak up, and the boost from Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy and everyone else, that we'd have a very different outlook going into Christmas.
Absolutely. Quick shout out to Holly and JN over here in the Rumble chat. Appreciate you guys. And then we got Brad and Marble in one of the Twitter chats. As always, guys, you guys are amazing. Look, there's so much to unpack with this whole thing that took place yesterday. Like I said, I'm on a MAGA hangover right now from it. We are so fortunate and lucky to have Elon Musk on our side. And when I say our side, I specifically mean we, the people, the American people. It has been amazing to watch the transformation and watch him get red pilled in front of our very eyes. And now he's one of the most based people there are when it comes to this. I mean, he's not just MAGA. I mean, he's conservative. I mean, there's a lot of people who claim to be MAGA who would support this bill and say, oh, well, we need to get relief, whatever, and he's out here truly conservative, or at least appears to be so far, which is awesome. Grok was actually used. That's the AI powered through Twitter or X, whatever. That was actually used by some people to decipher some of this bill. Elon has said that in the future they're working towards this, that they could be able to just throw it in there, and they got to get Grok a little bit more ramped up or whatever. But he would be able to just go through immediately and just give you all the information you would want to know on that bill, which would be pretty fascinating. Imagine getting a 1,500-page bill like that, throwing it into Grok, and it says these are all the things that, based on your personality, that you would not like about this bill. That's what they're looking for. It's gonna be awesome, man. But as always, the left lost their minds over Elon Musk. Talking about this. The thing is, it's important for people to know this. When you go back to the headline that we just pulled up, is that this happened because Trump and Elon threatened to primary these people if they voted for it. So it's important to remember, these people did not end up killing this bill because it was the correct thing to do. They didn't kill this bill because we personally made so much noise, because at the end of the day, we're just peasants to them. We've done this time and time again. They did this out of self-preservation, because that's all these turds in Congress care about, is keeping their position in there so they can get their insider trading and all this other stuff to self-enrich themselves. They killed this bill out of self-preservation because they were fearful that Trump and Elon Musk was going to come and primary them, because in these red districts with a Trump endorsement and Elon Musk money, they can win any race that they want to do so. It's one of the most powerful dynamics I've ever seen in politics. It's amazing to be a part of it.
Yeah, and I really hope they use that tool to clean up Congress in the 2026 race. Any of these rhinos that even think about stabbing us in the back, we need to keep them on a short list, boost up the people that are on our side and fighting for the American people, and anybody with an R next to their name that's sabotaging us. And I don't mean reasonable questions or wanting to tack something onto a bill or whatever, but if they're outright sabotaging us, they need to go. That's it. We're taking this country back, whether they like it or not, and they should lack the power to stop us in any way going forward. We need to completely take the House, flush out the garbage in 2026, and then 2028 we need to boost our lead in the Senate, boost our lead in the House, and I don't know if it's going to be J.D. Vance or who's going to be the next presidential contender, who's going to be the heir to the mega throne, but we need to get behind them and make sure they stick to their principles, and then put them back in the White House. It's time to crush the left in a way that will be permanent, that will disable them so they will be an ineffective party for the rest of America's existence. Went on for too long there. So breaking, Trump says Speaker Johnson's handling of the spending bill was unacceptable. And then got a tweet from you that Elon Musk responded to. New Congressman Maxwell Frost is upset over Elon Musk stopping the spending bill. Like that, Republican unelected co-president Elon Musk has killed the bill to keep the government from shutting down on Friday. All he had to do was make a few social media posts. And then from Elon Musk, the people of Central Florida will kick this jackass out in 2 years. And here, I got a video. Let's play this real quick, then we'll jump back into it.
Congressman Maxwell Frost here, and wow, I am here to talk about the chaos that's going on right now here in Washington, D.C. For people who don't know, tomorrow, Friday evening, the government is set to shut down unless Congress passes a bill to fund the government for the next few months. And there was a bill that came out this morning, bipartisan, had support from Democrats and Republicans, and we were supposed to pass it actually right now. We're supposed to be voting on it. A few hours before, Elon Musk, the billionaire, not an elected person, just a rich guy who spent hundreds of millions of dollars to get Donald Trump elected, and he bought influence. Elon Musk comes out and says, you know what, I don't like it. I don't like the bill. Get rid of it. I don't want it. And little by little, a bunch of Republicans, because they're scared of this billionaire, came out and said, I agree with him. I hate it. And then Donald Trump comes out and says, I hate it. Let's do another bill. Let's do something else. Granted, we are about 24 hours out from the government shutting down. The day before, these people, this billionaire who has bought influence with money, comes out and says, I don't like it because it doesn't cut enough benefits from working families. And so now we're at this standstill. It's all this chaos now. You know, the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, is probably behind locked doors trying to figure out what the hell to do because he doesn't have his own people in check. And so we'll keep you all updated on what's going on. But the fact of the matter is that if the government shuts down, it impacts working people. The TSA agents will not get their paychecks while the government shut down. Soldiers, people in the military won't get their paychecks while the government shuts down. A lot of services stop. And not just that, but this bill had money for hurricane relief and had stuff for disaster relief that we need in Florida right now. We just got hit by so many hurricanes. Asheville, North Carolina. And so they're really messing with the resources for working people because a damn billionaire spent hundreds of millions of dollars because he wants to run this country and run this government. So I'll keep you all up.
That's enough of that. And he's got us. It just didn't cut enough benefits from working families. That's why we all got
maybe next time.
Yeah, I know. This guy's just so misguided. I mean, he had one thing he was right about. The only thing in there for the people was relief funding for hurricane victims. Otherwise, this was just to load up government, more pork, more spending, and more entrenching of programs that we all want to see eliminated, and then protection for Congress against prosecution for the laws that they broke. These people are just worthless liars all the way down the line. They're also missing the point. It isn't about Musk or anybody else. It's not their single voice. It's the people rose up, and they're terrified of that at this point. They've expected us to just disengage after Trump won the election. They'd be able to sneak through whatever garbage they wanted, and that's not going to happen.
Well, yeah, and I think some of the one of the things that's missing in this whole context is that like Trump was relatively quiet early on. I think he was waiting to see what the base wanted and where the base was going in that. I think he truly does care about what people think. And it was the base who was loud early on and kind of emboldened and empowered President Trump to take that stance on it. And the same for Elon Musk. I mean, Elon Musk has been there from the beginning on it, but you have no doubt that it encourages them to continue the push when everybody's behind them and rooting them and participating as well. Imagine, I don't think that they would have taken that hard of a stance if all of us on X were like, no, we want this to pass. I don't think they would have done that. So they're missing the point here is that, we're not cheering because Elon Musk and Trump told us to. We're cheering and making noise that Elon Musk and Trump are listening to us, which is incredible when you think about the unifying one little voice on X or Twitter or True Social or whatever by itself isn't making the difference. But when you unify all of MAGA together, we have a giant megaphone in front of our mouths in order to get these messages out there. And that is so powerful. And that is the importance of Elon Musk actually buying X. I think that the voice has always been there, but it was suppressed and censored. Under the old Twitter, we never would have got this unifying message out there. There have been one or two posts from some of these, mega influencers who play by the rules, would have got their message out there, and that would have been it. Anybody else who was saying this would have been suppressed and censored, all these other things. And so that's huge in that regard. I want to give it some quick shout outs in the Twitter chats. It's blowing up over here. Appreciate you guys. If I miss anybody, I apologize. We got Dragonfly, Cat, Deborah, American Nordisk. Man, there's a lot over here. We really appreciate James. Appreciate you guys for Danny Beasley. Man, you guys are all awesome. If I miss anybody, I'll get you guys the next time. Appreciate you guys as Mark in here. Appreciate you guys, man. More than you guys could ever know, honestly. You guys make the show incredible. It makes it really fun. I love laughing and smiling. If you guys ever see me smiling randomly on the show, it's because I'm reading your comments and they're funny. Pete over here, appreciate all you guys. And once again, Elon Musk buying X has been one of the greatest gifts to the MAGA movement as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, agreed. Well, guys, we got to take a quick break here from our sponsors, and they're going to be right back with even more.
Hey, folks, it's your buddy John Rich here and co-founder of Old Glory Bank. Let me ask you a question. Why would you trust your banking with people that hate you? Well, you shouldn't. We're building a freedom economy, and now we have a pro-America bank. It's called Old Glory Bank. Check it out at oldglorybank.com and open yourself an account today.
Old Glory Bank is a full-service, FDIC-insured online bank with business and consumer banking and customers in all 50 states. It takes just 8 minutes to open an account at oldglorybank.com.
I couldn't give anything a higher endorsement.
I would be remiss had I not include Cardio Miracle on my very short list of secrets.
It's the real deal. It's a real product. It's not another supplement.
I'm operating about 6 to 8 hours, and I've noticed that being on this Cardio Miracle has made a huge difference.
Since I started taking Cardio Miracle, about 8 months into it, the benefits have been fantastic.
You know, if I get hungry, then I just have a Cardio Miracle.
Not only is it safe, but it's necessary to take Cardio Miracle to stay well.
This let me sleep. It's feeling like more energy, more get up and go. And it's all because of what this company does.
For me as a doctor, Cardio Miracle is a staple.
Cardio Miracle to me is hope in a glass.
To try Cardio Miracle for yourself and get a special fan discount, go to the host page right now and click the link for Cardio Miracle.
Thank you for staying with us. And the best way to support our program and all the programs on Patriot TV is by supporting our sponsors. And it's what allows us to bring you great programming from General Flynn, Christy Lee, Will Johnson, Steve Friend, Sharona Bishop, and everyone else that's here on the network. That's what makes it possible, is your support through our sponsors. Well, we got just a little bit more to touch on our main story, and then we'll move on to a few other things. Senator Rand Paul calls for Elon Musk to be named Speaker of the House. And I'm sure this just sent the media and the left just absolutely apoplectic. I would love to see him as Speaker, determining what legislation they're going to vote on, assigning committee seats, everything else, because it would completely change the game in D.C.
Oh man, could you imagine little Maxwell that we just covered a second ago is probably in his cry closet in DC right now, just throwing a little temper tantrum, crying at the thought of this. Listen, it's important for people to know the Speaker of the House does not have to be a member of the body. Like, it can be someone who is not an elected member of Congress. It's just, I don't know. It's never happened in our lifetimes. I think it happened once, or a couple twice back in the day, years ago, but that has happened before. I don't think that the rhinos and the establishment would ever go for something like that. It's the same reason you can never get like a Thomas Massey as Speaker of the House. He's way too conservative for most of these people in there. He's not for us. We all love him and love the Constitution the same way. But there's just way too many rhinos in there. They kill so many things behind the scenes so they can so that way they can avoid having to do that in public. And so, but just the sheer threat of this is hilarious and awesome at the same time. And I think that Senator Rand Paul's being sincere about it, but it's also one of the best trolls of recent time by just coming out and saying that after the meltdown they had yesterday.
Oh yeah, and speaking of trolls, there's also this. Absolutely glorious. Cat turd strikes again. After making Adam Kinzinger cry, the internet sensation roasts Rhino Dan Crenshaw, aka Eye Patch McCain, an explosive X-Twitter war. So I wasn't watching this too closely, but you were. Give the audience a rundown on this.
Oh, man, everybody on X, I'm sure, has been paying attention to this. Crenshaw is even trending for all the wrong reasons. He's trending because he's a whiny little middle school girl throwing a temper tantrum. Nick Sorter originally came out and kind of called him out for wanting the pay raises in the bill, supporting that and insider trading, those sorts of things. And Dan Crenshaw just went unhinged. I mean, absolutely unbelievable. Dropping F-bombs, cussing Nick Sorter out like you wouldn't even believe. I mean, definitely not something you'd expect from someone who's supposed to be a member of Congress, speaking out to someone who, aka your boss, Dan Crenshaw, because you work for us, punk. You don't talk to your boss that way, because I tell you right now, anybody else goes in and talks to their boss that way, they get fired. And luckily, you've now put such a target on your back. I believe that the MAGA movement's going to rise up and primary your sorry butt, because he's exactly what's wrong with this country right now, Dan Crenshaw is, because we have some of these total rhino establishment swamp rat losers representing some of the reddest districts in the entire country, and that is Dan Crenshaw is one of those people. We got to start flipping these red districts red and get some real America First patriots into these safe red seats so we can get some America First fighters into those seats as opposed to these losers like Dan Crenshaw. Anyways, after that, everybody was commenting on the post, defending Nick Sorter and calling out Dan Crenshaw. Cat Turd's one of them. And Dan Crenshaw comes out and starts bashing Cat Turd, talking about Dan Crenshaw's talking about his military service and that Cat Turd's this anonymous poster and I can't believe anybody, blah, 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 follows him. the funniest part then is Cat Turd responds, well, you follow me. So Dan Crenshaw's talking and making fun of people who follow Cat Turd while following Cat Turd, number one. Cat Turd's a military veteran. He's no longer anonymous, hasn't been anonymous for quite some time now, does his own podcast, does speaking engagements. He's very well known. Everybody knows who the man is, true patriot. Yeah. And so the whole thing is just basically for the last, 12 hours or so, all the MAGA movement on X has just been dunking on Dan Crenshaw, and it's been glorious to watch it happen.
Well, you're exactly right on something there too. It's these rhinos in red districts we really need to eliminate. I get it when we end up with some rhino pickle kisser in a blue area, that's the best we can do. Is not Lisa Murkowski is another bad example. She's Alaska, but some of these from Maine or wherever, I get it why we have a rhino there. But when it comes to red districts, there is no reason whatsoever to have Dan Crenshaw representing, what is he? He's Texas, right? Representing a red district in Texas. We can get somebody better. And I think now we have the coordination, the unification, and the backing that we need to start primarying some of these fools and cleaning up Congress. And that will really send a message, because even the rhinos that are left are going to know not to cross the line, or the guillotine's coming for them too. So, he ought to have a bullseye on his back, and we ought to start. We really need to be keeping a list together of who else needs to go. I got one last thing on this before we move on to a different topic. It looks like Johnson may have gotten a talking to after this whole thing went down.
Johnson be reelected? Would you support a clean CR?
Well, what the president believes is we should support a clean CR so long as it contains a debt limit increase. That's the position of the president, and that's what we're going to try to push for.
Are you supporting a government shutdown then?
Have a good night, guys. Thanks.
Did you speak to Speaker Johnson directly? Did you communicate this announcement? Be reelected, Mr. Vance.
And I believe VP Vance is on his way to go talk to Johnson in that video. But yeah, stick to your guns. This is what needs to happen.
Yeah. Well, really quick before I comment on that, we'll get some shout outs here to Jenny, Brenda, and Sarah in the Twitter chats here. But also, American says that Dan is just not having a good day, talking about Dan Crenshaw. Fed Up says, listen to the podcast that David Goggins did exposing Crenshaw's character. So encourage you guys to get out there and do that. Project says Dan's a rump ranger. He lived a life of danger. And that's hilarious. And then Sarah says, when Dan first went to Congress, he was good. He's the district next to mine. The corrupt swamp corrupted him very quickly. And I agree. I mean, he at least seems to have been good up to that point. But it's been, obviously he's been corrupted at this point. So, but then, that video you just saw there, it just came out that Trump officially had said, they put out their statement and said this bill is unacceptable. And then Trump said Speaker Johnson's handling of the bill is unacceptable. And then shortly thereafter, you see the principal, J.D. Vance, walking into the office there. He's walking down there to go to speak with Speaker Johnson directly. I would have loved to have been a fly on that wall to see how that conversation went at the end of the day, because they have done a lot in terms of trying to drag Mike Johnson along, let him be part of the cool club. He stands like a sore thumb at a lot of the UFC and everything. He's kind of goofy, and I don't care about any of that as long as he's actually doing the right thing. But they've tried to give him a taste of what it could be like if he would do the right thing, and then he still turns around and does swamp thing. Here's the thing about this bill that everybody needs to remember. The spending originates in the House. Republicans control the House. So not only did we negotiate this bill, this was negotiated by Speaker Johnson and quote unquote Republican leadership in the House, but they also did this from a position of power because the spending originates in the House. So when it comes to spending bills, the House has more power than the Senate. Just like Senate confirmations, everything, it goes through the Senate, not the House. But so the power of the purse is with the House. We have control of that. They not only negotiated, they are the ones who negotiated this terrible bill. They're the ones who put this together and put it out there. That is why the handling of this has been unacceptable, as President Trump said.
And I don't understand why they're negotiating with anyone in the House. Like, we have the power, we have the control. When the situation's reversed, they're not working with us. I know that the media is going to write mean stories about you if you don't work with the Democrats, but who cares? They're irrelevant. This last election cycle just proved it. They have no power anymore. The dinosaur media can keep talking to the moon bats. The rest of us can fix the country and move things forward. We don't need the left. They can cry all they want. They can't do anything to stop us except for whine and, I don't know, chain themselves to some doors, set off some fire alarms, and go cry to their buddies in the media. It wasn't all bad in D.C. yesterday. The Senate did pass a military spending bill that cuts child sex changes and eliminated DEI. So, congratulations, Senate. At least you seem to somewhat see the writing on the wall and that the country's sick of this tranny madness, and we're going to stop it.
Yes, absolutely. And so I'm glad that they passed that. I'm also glad that they cut a lot of that stuff out of there. Hopefully when they say they're cutting the DEI and all that, it also cuts the funding for these training drag shows that's been taking place on military bases across not only the country, but across the world. You know, they do stuff to try to boost morale for the troops, as if that's going to boost morale for anybody. Bringing some man dressed in drag in there is really going to fire you up and get you excited. But so, yeah, that's a huge win, getting that cut. Anytime we can start to cut funding for child sex changes, I can't believe we're even saying this, honestly, when you really think about where we're at right now. I mean, honestly, I said it out loud. It's like, I can't believe I just said that. But anytime that we're actually cutting those things, it's a huge win for not just the American people, but just for humanity in general.
Agreed. Yeah, well, we'll probably see. I mean, again, I think we're going to see more of this. I do think, especially on the cultural issues, that we will get the Republicans in the House and in the Senate to get together. It was very clear we want that stuff eliminated, but we're still going to have to herd them like cats to push this agenda through, at least for this first 2 years. But that's, again, why we need to latch onto these rhinos in their careers in politics. We need to investigate the criminals, throw them in jail, and send the message that none of this will ever be tolerated again, and make sure the country doesn't sink down that path. Let's go ahead and jump to our next horrifying story. Biden's DOJ blocks mega grandmother from attending Trump's inauguration after she walked inside the U.S. Capitol with a flag on January 6th. Says it would traumatize the Capitol Police. What kind of horse shit is that?
Dude, listen, this is unbelievable. So I know a lot of people think that January 6th was a long time ago. So I was talking to Mike about it off air. It's one of the most unique situations in the country because so many of us went through this at different stages, and it's been ongoing for what, 4 or 5 years now. And so she was, just sentenced on November 24th. So her January 6th journey is still in the middle of that. She was sentenced to 4 months in prison, 12 months probation, and I don't remember everything else. And so she hasn't went to prison yet. She's waiting to self-report, and usually that could take a couple months to do that before you get the call. And so she's on probation, or at least on pretrial release. I'm on probation. I have to do this and stuff as well. So for the last, what have I been out of prison? 2.5 years now, I think. For the last two and a half years, anytime that I want to travel outside of my immediate, when I say immediate, like the Southern District of West Virginia, basically. Yeah, basically anywhere. I have to let them know 2 weeks in advance and get permission to do so. She's under the same requirements. So she wants to travel outside of her home state for any reason. It doesn't matter if there's a death in the family. It doesn't matter if there's a wedding. None of these things matter. You have to get permission, and they request that you let them know 2 weeks in advance. And sometimes emergencies, they'll be nice and let you go if it's not 2 weeks, but they don't have to, and sometimes they won't. So she put in her request, wanted to go to the inauguration to support President Trump and be there. And obviously, as a J6er, she's a huge Trump supporter, and this is a life-changing event for her, as it is all of us. And they denied her request to travel to D.C. for the inauguration. And one of the reasons they said was that it would cause trauma to the Capitol police officers who will be working the event, because she has mocked these Capitol police officers throughout this January 6th journey of hers. This is a grandmother who's never had any, she's 70 years old, not the exact age, somewhere in that range, 67, 70 years old, never had any prior criminal history. For 70 years, she walked this earth and never got any sort of charge. And she was only convicted of misdemeanor nonviolent charges. This isn't somebody who did anything. She walked on the wrong blade of grass, said that she shouldn't have been there, and now they're denying her the ability to go support her president at Inauguration Day. This is despicable.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but if there's any Capitol Police officers that are crying themselves to sleep under every night and checking under their bed for Trump supporters and J6 defendants, that's somebody that's not mentally competent enough to handle a firearm and shouldn't be out there arresting people. They should be thrown off the force immediately and probably need a mental evaluation. But this is, again, just a slap in the face and another direct insult. It's them using the power they still have, while they have it, to oppress their political opponents. And that's why we have to take this power from them and make sure they never lay hands on any sort of power over anyone else ever again. They're clearly not competent enough to handle it. They're just petty, and this can't be allowed to happen again. I'm sorry. The Capitol Police need to be gutted and removed, and all of their police stations that are outside DC need to be closed immediately. That has to be unlawful or unconstitutional or something. This isn't sending a Capitol Police officer as a witness or to grab somebody they're an expert on. They have a police station in Florida, and they've got one in California. I think they've got a few other ones.
Yeah. Well, once again, man, I mean, this woman, she's harmless. She's not hurting anybody. It's not like the Capitol Police officers even know who she was. I mean, that's the thing. That's what's fascinating about some of these things is that like these Capitol Police officers will be sitting there watching the event, manning the event, and she walks up and they're just like, oh my God, there she is. What am I going to do? I'm traumatized. And for the record, if they are that afraid, they shouldn't be Capitol Police officers anyways. I mean, this is a nonviolent, somebody's grandmother going there to support President Trump. And this is, once again, their way of punishing all of us who's involved in that January 6th movement. So on that same note, just so everybody knows, and I put a tweet out about this a long time ago, but this happened a month or so ago. Probation came to my house after Trump won the election. Probation came to my house to inform me that if I am invited to go to DC to get a presidential pardon in person, that I still have to request permission to travel 2 weeks in advance. And so I said, I'm just clarifying, making sure I'm understanding this correctly. If I want to go to meet with the sitting president of the United States of America to receive a presidential pardon in person, I first have to ask permission from the probation in order to go. And they said, yes. And I said, well, I'm telling you right now, I'm going no matter what, and I will just ask him to add it to the list of things to pardon me from. But I am going to this. If I get invited to go and be on stage and meet President Trump in person to get my pardon in person, I am going, and there's no one's going to stop me from that. I promise you that. I will be there. I don't know if that's going to happen. You know what I mean? I don't know how. We don't know how this is all going to work, but I couldn't believe that they actually said that, because technically I will still be on probation until I receive the pardon. And so on a technicality, we would have to ask, and that doesn't just go for me. That goes for every J6er out there. If you're still on probation, you would have to ask for permission to travel to DC to meet with the sitting president of the United States of America to receive your presidential pardon in person. That's how crazy these people really are.
President Trump ought to just write all these pardons, Hunter Biden style, and just inoculate from everything from when he signs the pardon going back to January 6th, and write all the pardons that way, just to be, we spit in their eyes every chance we get. We need these people completely demoralized and broken, where they just can't even leave their cry closets to vote in 2026. Guys, we got to take one more break here from our sponsors, and we'll be right back with even more.
Hey, Patriot TV fans, feel like there's nothing on the radio for like-minded, intelligent people like yourself? Well, great news. Now you can stream Patriot TV on TuneIn during your drive to or from work. Whether you're stuck in traffic or cruising down the highway, you can catch every conversation from your favorite show hosts right in your car. No more mindless jibber-jabber. Tune in 24/7 on the road, at the gym, or wherever you are. Download the free TuneIn app now on Apple, Android, or your computer and never miss a beat. Patriot TV, now on TuneIn.
My name is General Mike Flynn, and I want everyone to know that I stand fully behind Beverly Hills Precious Metals and its owner, Andrew Sorcini. We are facing one of the greatest periods of financial uncertainty in both American and world history, and so now is the time to organize your finances. With the advent of the BRICS pay system, we need to now seriously consider how we can take better care of ourselves and our families and start some serious decision making when it comes to our wealth. You can also ask about their newest 2-ounce coin of yours truly. It's an absolutely great gift, and I am deeply honored to be part of history, as well as helping people protect their finances, their wealth, and their investments. So visit gold.generalflynn.com. Tell them the General sent you. Thank you so very much. God bless you, and God bless America.
You're muted, brother.
That's what I get. That's the second time I try to sneeze or whatever off camera, and then I always forget the stupid mute button. But thank you for staying with us. The best way to support our program and all the programs on Patriot TV is by supporting our sponsors. You can go right now, download TuneIn, and again, this takes a piece of the market share away from leftist companies that hate us, like Apple. So, and then also, secure your financial future. I don't think we're definitely not going to have time to get to it, but we are starting to see this downturn in the market I've been talking about for a while now. And I don't know that we're going to see an outright crash before Trump's inauguration. It may end up being slightly afterwards, but we are headed for some rough economic times. So please go to gold.generalflynn.com and help secure your family's financial future. Gold's a great hedge against inflation and the de-dollarization that we're seeing around the world. And to keep in mind, it's not an instant fix when Trump gets into office. A lot of the solutions are going to take time to implement, and there are going to be negative consequences we still have to deal with from the Biden regime, at least for the first 6 months to a year that Trump's in office. It's going to take a while to get some of these things back on track.
Absolutely, it is. And, I agree. I think that we're going to head for something. They're going to do anything and everything they can to try to destroy the Trump presidency. And I think that when you're looking at the low-hanging fruit with the debt and everything else that we're facing in our country right now, I would imagine that they're going to attempt to crash the economy in some capacity. Luckily, with President Trump's there, he's a great businessman, and I trust him to weather that storm as much as possible. And then there's going to be some economic issues when we start the mass deportations. I mean, that's going to be part of it, and I'm fine with that. I accept that. I think it's awesome to clean up our country at any and all costs that in the short term, because the long-term benefits are going to outweigh that.
Yeah, well, speaking of fruits, California is going back into lockdowns. Breaking. California Governor Gavin Newsom declares state of emergency over bird flu after 34 human cases. So I know this is what they've been trying to hype this for a while, pretend this is going to be, Ebola part 2 or, COVID 20. But yeah, California's gone into lockdown, and don't be surprised to see New York and a few other states follow, because anything they can do to hurt their economy and, make a vocal stand against President Trump, they're going to do that, especially like they're playing from behind the 8 ball right now. They don't have any real cards that are in their favor, so they're going to do whatever they can to manipulate the media, hype this bird flu, and try to use that to chip away at the America First agenda.
That's exactly right. Well, quick shout out to Computer Technician and JD over here in the Twitter chats. Appreciate you guys. And then FG in the Getter chat. But yeah, look, that I can't believe it. I mean, they're already, once again, see, that was so scary about COVID. That's what something I think myself and a lot of people probably already realized during the time that it was happening, is that once they let that cat out of the bag, it's almost impossible to put the cat back in the bag. Now that they've got a taste of being able to, use these emergency powers to create tyranny, now they are addicted to it. They feel like they have the right to turn around and shut down whatever they want to in the name of safety. And that's a major issue, and it's going to take some time for us, I believe, the fight over the lockdowns is not over with. And unfortunately, we as an American people accepted that too easily during that time. And I know a lot of things, this is in hindsight as a whole. But we've got to be very stern and strict in terms of not accepting any sort of tyrannical stuff like that. Again, look, if you allow the government to take your rights away under an emergency, then they're going to create emergencies so that they can take your rights away. And that's what we're seeing happening here right now in California.
Exactly. And there's no reason to limit people's personal rights or freedoms anyway. But, emergency powers need to be reserved for a real, actual emergency. If we have an asteroid hit, I don't know, Arizona, and you need to shut things down until things are in control again, and we can go in and establish order, help the victims. That's what emergency powers are for. And they should be very short-lived until the problem is solved, or it's solved to the point where we can get back to some level of normal activity. If we have a giant chemical waste spill, or like the train collision in East Palestine, like shutting down roads and highways while there's deadly fumes in the air, is probably a good thing, and that's a power the government should have. The problem is these weasels in Washington and at the state level want to abuse those powers and use them where they should not apply. 34 cases of the bird flu. I'm not aware of any deaths. As far as I'm concerned, this is just the seasonal flu. So why the hell are you locking down your state for the seasonal flu? But these people are insane. And again, they're going to grasp onto any last little vestige of power they can because they know they're on the outs right now.
Yeah, and I think part of it is they love getting the TV time. All these governors were, every single day having these briefings or whatever, where the whole state was watching them on. I think that they really loved that and cherished that. I think that's something that they're probably missing. I was laughing over here, snickering, because I told you guys to read all the comments, and so Project 87 in the chat says, next, California will be due to flatulence clouds in LA. So I thought that was pretty funny. And then Fed Up brings up a good point. Well, Tim says safety is not always freedom. Fed Up says COVID was the best thing that happened to the country, and I agree with him because I think that he's meaning the same thing I'm meaning in terms of it opened people's eyes up to the tyranny that we're living under today. American Nordisk man says freedom isn't always safe, which I once again agree with as well. So, but yeah, I love the comments, guys. Keep them coming. And then Tim also says freedom isn't free. It's not a right, but a privilege that we should stand for. And so that's exactly right. At the end of the day, if the government says that, it's not the government's job to keep you safe. There's a lot of people out there who've been brainwashed into thinking that it's the government's role and their duty and their job to keep us safe. No. It's my job as a man and to keep my family safe and protected. It's not the government's job to. Now, safe from the government standpoint would be securing our border and making sure we're not invaded. I would agree that the government has a role in that terms of safety, but in everyday life, walking freely in my country, that is not up to them. That is up to me and my family to keep ourselves safe and provide that for ourselves.
Exactly. The government's role is to step in when the threat is something an individual can't handle, whether that's a foreign invasion or, like I said earlier, if we've got a chemical spill on a train and there's a poison gas cloud dripping, floating down I-65, then that's where the government's role is, where you as an individual are powerless to stop whatever or to get back out of it. Or it's not realistic that you can. Most people don't have a bunker they can go hide in if an asteroid strikes or whatever. But anyway, we've had this story queued up for a couple days and run out of time to get to it. But I want to make sure we mention James O'Keefe, hero of the people, doing the job our journalists absolutely refuse to do. And in another just wonderful sting operation, Biden DHS official details president's mental decline to OMG in undercover video. And this guy, the video is just great. Basically admits President Biden is brain dead. He doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't even know who he's calling half the time. This guy works directly with Jake Sullivan, and basically said they're the ones really running policy, that for all intents and purposes, Biden is already dead, and he probably only has a year left to live. They're just doing what they want in his name.
Yeah, I mean, he was very forthcoming and open about it. It was unbelievable, honestly, when you think about someone this close to the president. And O'Keefe mentions this in the video when he's confronting the guy, someone this close to the president who's out here just sharing all this information to a random stranger that they just met off the internet over dinner. What if they were a spy for another country of some sort, trying to get intel onto, whether America is strong or weak or all these things? And this guy's just spilling the beans on all of this, on all these issues. He's an advisor to these people. It's unbelievable. And then during that conversation, the funny part to me was that he was bragging to the female associate he was speaking with, the undercover journalist, and said that he used to be a spy. That's originally what he was going for, and then it didn't work. He didn't want to do that anymore, so now he's doing this. And so O'Keefe kind of makes fun of him to his face about it. It's like, what kind of spy are you, man? Like, I mean, what if we were spies? Is this what they taught you at Intel school, is to just go out here and disclose all this information to just random people you meet off the internet? And it's funny, but at the same time, when you really think about it, this is very dangerous. And it almost makes you realize how Swalwell slept with a Chinese spy that time and was on the, the intelligence committee and never was kicked off of it or anything either. Who knows how much this actually happens in DC, where these people are in these positions. They want to try to brag about it a little bit, make themselves probably seem bigger than what they really are, and just expose and share all these information that shouldn't be shared with the public.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point too. Like, this guy is, I really hope this guy was never a spy previously, but if he was cut, we all know why. It's because he can't keep his mouth shut. And is it really that hard? Like if you're some dirtbag in DC and all of a sudden you've got some girl coming up to you that's way out of your league, chances are it's James O'Keefe. And I don't know why these people haven't realized this yet, or even where James O'Keefe's gone on some of these himself. Like, I don't understand. You would think they'd have this guy's picture plastered everywhere. Do not talk to this man. Do not expose state secrets to this man. But it happens over. What's that?
They can't help themselves. It's like an ego.
No, they really can't. Well, we just got a couple of minutes left, so let's just grab these last couple things here. This is from Off the Press. Christmas canceled. Teamsters strike hits Amazon. Now, this just started this morning, and right now it's basically affecting areas you'd expect: New York, Chicago, California, but they're saying this could expand and be one of the largest Teamster strikes ever to occur in America. And again, they plan these things intentionally. It's happening right before Christmas. So, I mean, I do feel bad for people in these areas, and even for Amazon, because a lot of times these unions wait to key moments like this, and they basically hold companies hostage to force unreasonable demands on them. They force them to, have to agree. So, I mean, this is BS, and it's happening right before Christmas.
Yeah, well, I don't know a whole lot about it because I haven't looked into that. I'll just say that, I support union workers, and I despise union leadership. That's really how I feel about most of these things. I live in an area where there's a lot of trade and labor unions, and most of them are all Trump supporters, pipe fitters, steel workers, coal miners, all that stuff. They're all Trump supporters. It's the union, the bosses, the leadership that are out here that are just total scumbags as far as I'm concerned. I know we're almost out of time. I do want to let everybody know I'm going to be putting up a tweet in a little bit on my Twitter account, asking for your favorite memes and stuff, maybe like just showcasing the things that's kind of happened over the week. And on tomorrow's show, we're going to try this for the first time. We're going to try to do like a little bit of a meme review where we showcase your memes, your screen name, the whole thing. We're going to give you guys shout outs on the show of some of the funny things that's happened throughout the week in the news. We're going to kind of do like a little review of that. And so I'll be putting up a post for you guys. Watch for that. Would love to include you guys in the show and showcase you guys a little bit more in the show than what we already are.
Yeah, we're going to try to continue to do this. Maybe not every week, but every other week, once a month, something like that. We're going to continue this, and we really want you guys to be a part of it. But to your earlier point, yeah, I don't think trade unions, by and large, are the problem. It's labor unions that are now just run by, essentially communism. They control the supply of labor. And then they boost up wages to the point where it's unaffordable. I mean, that's why like every car produced in the U.S. right now has, and this number's old, so it may be even higher now, but it used to be $2,500 in labor costs per vehicle sold in the U.S. So $2,500, what you're paying is just going to pay union members, whether it's their retirement or just funding the current union benefits, but $2,500 per vehicle, which again hurts us in competition because not just here, it's around the world, and it may have priced them out of the market. But guys, we are in fact out of time. Thank you for being with us again today. Please like, share, and subscribe. Help us to grow so we can bring more people the news the mainstream media doesn't want you to hear. Stay tuned here on Patriot TV. We got Hannah Faulkner coming up next. Thanks, guys.